Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction and the Armor Wizard Zap Zap. We have a body armor test today. We've actually tested this panel in the past, and Hanlin Tactical Studios contacted us and asked that we perform a special test on this plate. This guy right here is 50 caliber, or 12.7 by 99 millimeters NATO, or 50 BMG. This is an M33 ball round, 650 grains with a mild steel core. We tested this plate in the past. It weighs 7 pounds, 8 ounces, or 3.41 kilograms. It is 1.017 inches thick, or for those across the pond, 25.84 millimeters. It employs a ceramic strike face that extends edge to edge. It is multi-curve there. You can see all those nice, sexy curves. In full transparency, Hanlin Tactical Studio sent me that plate to destroy with no strings attached. Now, in full transparency, I actually did this same test a couple of months ago, but I actually had the Barrett down at the 200-yard bench and then the clay briefcase set up here. And because M33 ball is meant, or 50 BMG is meant to be anti-material, it's not a precision round. I mean, I'm going to admit that my skill set isn't the best, but you know, at 200 yards, M33 ball is like a 4 to 5 inch MOA cartridge. So my first shot was on the literal edge of the plate, so that's not a fair hit. The second shot completely missed the plate and took out my clay briefcase. And then the third shot was right where I wanted it to be, but at that point the plate had probably been degraded enough that the results weren't valid. Although again, this is outside of the purview of really any personal worn body armor or any testing standards, so it's totally non-scientific and just for shits and giggles. But Hanlin was nice enough to send over another plate. Now, to better our testing protocol, today we're going to shoot at 25 yards. We have our Barrett M107A1 with the 29-inch barrel. To simulate that 200 yards, I've actually downloaded our M33 ball to hopefully be right around 2,500 feet per second. That's actually what you get muzzle velocity shooting the 19-inch CQB model of our 107A1. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my channel, here comes a long-winded spiel. We do all of our body armor testing and demoing completely different than pretty much everyone else on YouTube. As I mentioned, we're going to shoot at 25 yards. We're also going to shoot at 0 degrees because that represents worst case scenario. Any oblique angles only increase the amount of body armor that the bullet has to penetrate through and can give you false expectations of performance. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma plastilina #1 that acts as our compressible media that we put the body armor up against. It weighs like 90 pounds, and I can't keep the temperature needed to certify the clay out here, so it just acts as a representation of what back face could be. It's around 80 to 85 degrees outside today. We also have a ProChronopal Digital DLX. We also put a spreadsheet here at the beginning and the end, and we kind of list out all the threats that we're going to shoot at it. We mark our penetrations and our velocity if we're able to obtain them, and we do a teardown. Given that I think this plate is only going to survive one shot, there may be only one listing in that spreadsheet. Plate is strapped up, and we're ready to take our first and possibly only shot. We'll try to put this in the upper side of the plate, but still center of mass to see if we can take a second follow-up shot. As I mentioned, the velocity of this M33 ball should be right around 200 or 2,500 feet per second, which based on a ballistics chart would be around 200 yards if fired from a 29-inch or longer barrel, or having a muzzle velocity of 2,800 feet per second. This is an M107A1, again, 29-inch barrel. We have an adjustable bag rider on here. Got a Vortex Viper PST 5-25. We bought a Rex Selenium MG50, but that is going to be a little while before we get our hands on that. We knocked a clay briefcase down, and if you know anything about body armor testing, that's usually a good sign for the body armor. Well, it looks like we destroyed another strap. Thank you, Patreon supporters. I use a lot of my funds, if not all of them, to pretty much buy more supplies for the channel. Some things get very expensive, especially this clay. Our shot was right there. I would say that's a fair hit. Ooh, getting deep in there. Sorry, dad jokes there. Place those bets in the comments below. Awesome. It stopped it. No freaking way. Now, depending on when I release these, we did shoot another 50 BMG plate that had a lot less back face. That's pretty significant, but it's more spread out. I'll try to get a measurement on this. We're looking right at around 60 millimeters, possibly even more. Depends on how you measure it. I need to get like a crossbar that I can put across it so I have a solid surface to mount it on and then depth it. But it's around the size of my fist, but interesting, very impressive. Now, the survivability always comes into question, and I would think that in actual real-world engagement, someone wouldn't shoot you with a 50 BMG at 200 yards. You're going to be maybe 500 to 600 yards out. Or maybe they have a QCB model for shooting out of tight areas. Uncharted territory, folks. A second shot on this plate. We've got it out. It's still got ceramic on it. I'm sure Hanlin Tactical would have probably asked me why I didn't shoot a second shot at it, so we'll shoot a second one on it. We've got another shot of the M33 ball, reduced velocity, although I'm about 100 feet per second over spec, so maybe we're closer to 150 yard engagement. I actually loaded these to 220 grains, checked our velocity, and we were just right around 2490, so I only added 5 grains and we picked up, 140 feet per second. Interesting. We'll place this one in the lower right-hand corner. It's usually never a good sign when this barely moves. Our second shot was down there. We're well within the confines of an NIJ shot, at least 2 inches from the edge, and we're about 5 inches from that shot. I think I need to dial those loads back a little bit. We're still, that one was 2,700 feet per second. I think 220 is a good compromise for that velocity. Place those bets in the comments below. R.A.N.G.E. And it's hard to see, but that smoked right through the plate. And it looks like it's caused all of our polyethylene to delaminate from the strike face. But the interesting part is that the strike face is still there. Here was the core of the M33 ball that stopped first. It's a mild steel core, but it's the same shape and weight as the hardened AP and API and APIT rounds. Cool. Look at that. Mushroom that sucker right out. Cool. And it almost looks like, we'll double check and see where that hole is on our polyethylene. Ah, the teardown, a fan favorite. Don't forget your gloves when you mess with shards of ceramic. These are the Outdoor Research Suppressor gloves. Very nice little gloves I picked up on clearance, holding up pretty well. They are very dirty though. Here is our backer. There was no foam for blunt force trauma on the back, just pretty much polyethylene. We measure that right around 545 thousandths. It is pressed. You can see that it's retained most of its shape, obviously, except for where the bullets hit it. Normally, if it wasn't pressed very well, you could thumb through this. Otherwise, it looks like a solid piece. And I like a cutting board there. not too shabby. Then we get to our strike face. There is no drop face foam on this, as we mentioned. That may be something that Hanlin Tactical may want to add, but they have Kevlar up front that's like a laminating layer, and it does a pretty good job at containing the ceramic into the plate and keeping the strike face as whole as long as possible. We measure that right around 460 thousandths thick. You can see some of the cracking that extends. Let me zoom in here. From those shots, you can see the crack there and a crack there. But if we flip it over to the back, you can see that that ceramic, whatever it is still all in one piece. That's what I look for in some of our higher end ceramics, is solid laminating, so that when we do take shots, if we take a shot up here and we crack it, that this piece down here remains intact because it's laminated. We had a little bit of foam on the outermost edge. It's that little white stuff that you can see right there. That kind of protects the ceramic on the edge, on the outer perimeter, from any bumps and bruises. Otherwise, there you have it. Pretty easy teardown, not a whole lot of materials in here, but it stopped our 50 BMG M33 ball at about 150 yard velocity engagement. Well, everyone, I'm going to close up shop because the rain is increasing and I don't want to get any more wet than I already am. But I think our Hanlin Tactical Studio plate performed very well against our simulated 200-yard shot of our M33 ball. This falls right in line with what we've tested in the past with some of our alumina level 4 plates, although I think this particular design held up rather well. As discussed in our teardown video, I think Hanlin Tactical Studios is building a very quality plate. We have a pressed backer, an edge-to-edge strike face, a laminated strike face. I would like to see some drop face foam added to it, although I have some more of their panels to test upcoming that use the little hexagon or multi-shaped tiles. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible. Number one is my Patreon and subscribe to our fans. I have a link tree in the description below. Various ways to support me, either through Instagram or Facebook, or I have affiliate links and discount codes that cost you guys nothing and they earn me a sales commission, and I put all that money back in the channel for buying ammunition or reloading components to make up some of these shots. Number two is Hanlin Tactical Studio. Again, in full transparency, sent me that plate to destroy with no strings attached. And of course, number three is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.